Okay, so today we are looking at another Vastking device, and this time around it is a laptop. It is the Kingbook K100. Let's jump into it. Now I want to give a shout out to Vastking for sending this laptop to the studio, this review unit to the studio for me to test out, check it out and share with you all my genuine take on this laptop. And of course, this is my way of telling you that this is not a sponsored video. Literally just testing it out, which I already did, and today I'm just sharing my take on this laptop with you all. And that being said, let's go ahead and do a quick highlight of what the laptop is loaded with before we actually break it down. It's a pretty decent or normal size computer pushing a 14-inch IPS display with 1920 by 1080 for the resolution, and this is clocked in at 220 nits. It has 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of internal storage, which is also expandable. It is loaded with an Intel Celeron N4020, so it's a 2-thread based frequency of 1.1 gigahertz, but can be pushed all the way up to 2.8 gigahertz. So you can pretty much turbo boost this thing all the way up to 2.8 gigahertz. The GPU here is an Intel Graphics 600, and you are looking at a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which can push all the way up to 8 hours according to the manufacturer. It supports 5G Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.0, and I have to add that so far the battery seems to be lasting right about 7 to 8 hours. Oh, and before I forget, if this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. Of course, if you do like the content so far, I truly appreciate that. Now, please do me a huge favor and hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a huge boost to this channel here. Again, I very much appreciate that. All right, so now let's go ahead and cover a little bit of the software here. The laptop itself is running Windows 10s mode. This particular unit does come with a pre-installed copy of Microsoft 365 Office. As you may be aware, of course, with this being Windows 10s mode, it will only allow apps to be downloaded from the Microsoft Store, and your default browser, of course, is going to be Microsoft Edge. And there are ways around it, and I just wanted to go ahead and make sure that I do highlight that. There are ways around, getting rid or going around that S mode, and I believe once you do that, you can't go back to the original S mode that it comes preloaded with. Now let's quickly talk about design. It is made of what seems to be kind of a combo of somewhat smooth finished metal at the top here and plastic at the bottom here. You do have an opening here, kind of a grill for that excess heat. Now in terms of looks, it looks decent, like a typical regular laptop. Not your premium, not your mid-range tablet, but just like a regular laptop. It also does feel that way, so it doesn't feel super cheap, but it definitely doesn't feel premium. It's kind of like right in the middle there, and kind of on the lighter side too. On the right hand side here, you find the micro SD card slot, a headphone jack, and also a USB port. And on the left hand side here, you will find a second USB port, a DC port, a mini HDMI, and a USB Type-C port. The keyboard layout is kind of your typical keyboard, right? Nothing premium, like I said, but I would say pretty functional. They are very clicky when you type on them, and if you are accustomed to kind of a soft touch keyboard, this might actually not be for you. But then again, very functional, works pretty well. The keys they do have a little bit of distance to travel, so they're fairly clicky, but pretty far from premium. Now this touchpad or numpad is pretty interesting, and I don't think I've ever owned anything like this before with a numpad right on the touchpad. So the touchpad itself is very clicky, so you can either tap on it or actually click left or right, and of course, as I mentioned, you have the numbers on the touchpad itself. So touchpad numpad. As far as picture quality goes, it is actually very good. I was impressed. I was able to watch YouTube all the way up to 4K without any issues, so that was actually pretty good. And the picture quality is actually very good. As I mentioned earlier, it is an IPS display, so entertainment, specifically watching movies or watching YouTube videos or even just home videos, is actually pretty nice. You can do some light level of gaming here, but as soon as you go heavy, you will be disappointed. So this is not a spec'd out computer. It's more on the cheaper side, more on the budget side. So it's not a gaming laptop. I shared the specs just a few minutes ago. So based off of that, it will not perform at super optimal levels, right? At least not with heavy games. However, you'll be just fine playing light to medium games. Everyday tasks here actually work very, very well. So checking your emails, navigating the internet, creating documents, scrolling through things has been very, very, very smooth. So haven't had any issues with that. I also wanted to go ahead and cover the box here. I skipped over that at the beginning there because I wanted to jump into the specs first, but it's a pretty simple packaging. The box is pretty clean, pretty simple packaging. You literally get just the laptop itself and the 12-volt power supply here, a webcam cover that I found in the box here, and finally, of course, the manuals, and that's pretty much it. A few other things we can highlight here would be the webcam that you have on the laptop here. It's an HD camera, and the laptop itself has dual speakers that you can see over here, and it also has a dual mic setup. So overall, it's just a regular or even just a budget laptop, right? So nothing crazy fancy except for the numpad on the touchpad there. It works well, as I mentioned. You have some limitations in terms of the software itself. As I mentioned, it's an S mode. You could get around that, as I keep repeating here. But other than that, it's just your typical computer. I wish it had a little bit more of a premium feel to it. It doesn't have that, which is fine. And I'm assuming, Vastking is going to price this at a very affordable, it's going to put this at a very affordable price. I like the fact that it has these extra ports, and also the fact that you have the micro SD card slot there, and you have the HDMI and the USB Type-C there, which is kind of the new way of, connecting to your device and transferring data and all that good stuff. So that was my take on the KingPad, or my mistake, the Kingbook K100 here. I hope this was informative. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to either drop your questions in the comment section there, or simply check out the Vastking website. I know they make other devices like tablets, and I believe in watches, even smart watches and things like that. But anyways, let's go ahead and end this video now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you in the comment section like I always do, and I'm also going to catch you in the next video. And up until then, of course, as always, stay safe out there.